Welcome, everybody, to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Adam Freeman here, coming to you from the very sad town of Atlanta, Georgia. Paul Brees is in Brentwood, Tennessee, outside of Nashville, which I'm sure is quite jubilant today as a result of yesterday's sporting results. Atlanta, not so much. And that's going to kind of be, that'll be where we go first, Paul, just because today was such a wonderful day for me personally. Because you see, I ate lunch with a bunch of Braves fans. So all last week, I was just getting absolutely destroyed by, you know, all these Braves fans telling me that, you know, their pitching is so much better and our pitching's overrated and our offense is overrated and Kershaw's a choke artist and Bellinger can't hit in the playoffs and all this stuff. So what do? I show up minus the pants and cleats and full Dodger regalia today at school when I went in. And lo and behold, it was not a full lunch crowd, surprisingly enough. They're hiding in the Braves fans are hiding in their little caves. But here's what I find interesting is the psychology and the psyche of an Atlanta sports fan is like they know. Like Terry tried to tell me, he said, Dodgers in 7. He tried to tell me that was what was going to happen. And there was a little seed of doubt when we got beat 10-2 in game 4. I was like, geez, I don't know. I don't know who we're going to pitch. I don't know who's going to pitch. I don't know, if we're going to be able to hit. We're not hitting, But he's like, trust me, I've seen this movie before. I know what happens. And sure enough, he was right. And what happened last night was miraculous. It was great. I was up late watching it. Oh, by the way, did not watch it live. Did not watch it live. It was total DVR on my part. So I was up way late last night watching this. And of course, jubilant when it happened. So I know you're not a baseball guy, Paul, but this is like prime sports time for me. Right in the meat of football, high school football, and October baseball, and Dodgers are in the World Series again, third time in 4 years, and I really have a good feeling about it this year. So, anyway,
All right.
that's why I decided to start off with the Chocahontas. That was something that I saw on social media today.
Now, listen, as a non-baseball guy, the Braves were not even supposed to. I mean, if you preseason pick, right? I mean, the Braves weren't even supposed to be there, right? They were not even in the conversation. I assume of the playoffs, right? I would think the Nationals, the Phillies. I mean,
Well,
uh,
to be fair, the Phillies were actually picked to win the East, even though the Braves had won it the last 2 years. But they were going to make the playoffs. I mean, they were predicted to make the playoffs. So that's the narrative that all the Braves fans are taking. Well, I'm just glad we got to game 7. We weren't even supposed to get that far. Just really proud of this team. At some point, you have to shrug that mentality and you have to demand more from your sports teams. But see, that's not this fan base. They don't. There's no demand. And I've said this all along. Having lived here for 26 years, I've seen it. Even when not so much when they won it in 95 because they were just had a great team back then. But like even when they were at Turner Field, and then especially when they moved to Cobb County, it's all about the experience. What all kind of cool things can we have around the ballpark for people to do? Hey, how about put a quality team on the field that wins championships? How about do that? How about make that your focus instead of seeing how many bars you can build around the stadium to get people to hang out in before the game? I feel like that's what's missing. And most Braves fans are just fine going down to the game, hanging out, watching the game, win or lose, go home, blah, blah, blah. You know, they want to talk about being, hardcore. But I don't know if they really are because they're complacent is what I would call. They're complacent. And That's my 2 cents when it comes to that particular fan base. And
I'm sure the people around you do not want to hear your 2 cents.
They don't. They could care less about my 2 cents, but I'm gonna give it to them anyway. And I want to give the Drive Through Sports audience my 2 cents because that's what we're here to do. Also, just kind of and just so you know, like, and I was telling Leslie this is probably in my lifetime. Now, if I go for the clean sweep here, Dodgers win Friday, Saturday, Sunday, advance to the World Series. Kentucky, which we'll get to later, beats Tennessee in Knoxville for the first time in 36 years. If I win at fantasy football tonight, that'll be a clean sweep for me. Now, it's not looking good. I just scored a touchdown. No, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good. In fact, we'll go ahead and give the update because I was playing against Patrick Mahomes, who didn't have a great game. It could get interesting. It could get interesting. I need Christian Kirk to have a monster game. He just caught a touchdown. I'm down by 5 points. And he's still got the Dallas tight end, and I've got Christian Kirk. So Christian Kirk needs a couple more touches to get me in the win column. Anyway, so great sports weekend for me. We'll kind of move on. And again, that gets us to point number 2. All right, and I know I'm dominating this early, but it's all baseball early. Once we get to your Titans, I'm going to let you take over. But Bellinger last night, I mean, big moment. Big moment. They tied the score in the 6th. Bellinger comes up, fights off several good pitches, gets one he can handle, and just drills it. And then just the bat flip. We talked about bat flips now. And I told you how I feel about bat flips. I don't have a problem with them. And this one was classic. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. Not only did he bat flip, but he just strutted about halfway down before he started jogging because he had to admire this shot because it was about halfway up the lower deck, almost to the second deck. It was a bomb. So he gets a little bit of a monkey off his back postseason wise. And basically that was the difference in the game. That was the difference, that home run. And just jumped off his bat. So I was happy.
Well, you'll be shocked to know, Adam, that I actually did watch it live and saw the Bellinger home run. Wow. Saw the flip, saw the trot. Hey,
what you think?
It was solid.
Yeah. A lot of emotion there.
Yeah, they knew that after that shot, they were about to, yeah.
They knew they needed 6 outs is what they needed. They knew it went from being, okay, this could be an extra inning game.
Right.
How many pitchers do we have left to like, hey, we need 6 outs. And growing up playing baseball all my life, that's, you don't count outs. You should never count outs, but everybody does it. Everybody does it. When you got guys, you're down and you got runners on, you're thinking, okay, if we hit a home run here, we can cut the lead. You think about that stuff. You're not supposed to, but you do. But I'm glad you watched it. I've had a little bit of influence on you. And that makes me feel good. That makes me feel good. I'm trying to expand your horizons and realize. And another thing too, your Brentwood boy Mookie Betts now, he's a difference.
Oh yeah,
in this series. How many amazing? There were 3 amazing defensive plays he made in right field in the last 3 games. It was like one a night he had. And probably the biggest one was in game 5 when he catches that ball and Ozuna leaves early and they get him doubled up. I don't know of any right fielder in baseball that even gets to that ball. Plus, he double clutched and almost threw him out at home after he left early. It's unbelievable the talent this kid has. He totally deserves the 13-year, 375, however many millions of dollars he's getting. Far and away, he deserves that money. If they win a title, it'll be worth it. as long as I don't have to write the check.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, your boy, and I was so mad that this game was not on in Atlanta.
Really?
It was not on. The Titans and Houston was not on in Atlanta, and I was really upset because I kept watching the score going back and forth, and apparently it's pretty crazy ending.
Yes.
So I mean, you can expand on that.
Well, what can I say? Okay, I mean, you're going to lose your best offensive lineman in Taylor Lewan to today confirmed ACL.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry says, you know what? Big whoop-de-doo. I'm still going to run for 94 yards on one play. Dude, that's just his deal, man. The Titans get backed up in the wall, and he bails them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so besides that Tannehill is an MVP candidate, besides that Derrick Henry is an MVP candidate, and their defense is trash, and they're still winning games, and nobody really cares that you're beating the Broncos by 1 point, or you're having to rely on your kicker to make game-winning field goals. The key to this whole thing, and it has come to is open my eyes, is that Mike Vrabel has more coaching knowledge than what I think. He's not just some pretty face out there in a 80s mustache. Okay. This guy has bailed the Titans out with I would quote unquote say sinister coaching moves from the Belichick regime, from the dark side. Okay. I don't know
Agreed.
if I assume you know what I'm talking about.
Are you talking about the whole clock management?
So yesterday there was about 2:19 to go. They hadn't hit the 2-minute warning. The Texans are going to score, whether it's 3 or 7. Okay, they're about at the 21-yard line, and Vrabel sneaks in an extra defender. He knows he has 12 defenders out there. The cornerback Joseph looks at Vrabel and starts, with his hands up, like, "Coach, what are you doing? We got 11." Vrabel looks at him as the camera gets to, there's a shot of Vrabel telling him to relax. I got it. Sure enough, when the ball is snapped, there's the penalty flag. 12 men on the field. That moves the Texans 5 yards closer. But what it does is it saves the Titans about 40 seconds of play clock because of the penalty. Okay. The Texans eventually do score, and where Vrabel outsmarts everybody in the NFL, Romeo Crennel makes an idiotic coaching blunder. Okay. The Texans go up by 7.
Okay.
What does Romeo Crennel do? Hey, you got your first chance to get a win as a head coach for the Houston Texans. What are you going to do, Romeo Crennel? I'm going to go for 2.
Wait, you scored the touchdown.
Got it to 7. Kick it extra point. You make it 8. He goes for 2.
All right, back up a little bit. You said there's 2:19 to go, and they get the penalty. Does that take it to the 2-minute warning?
No, the play clock stops.
Okay, so they ran.
Or it was going to be like 2:40. I don't know.
Okay.
It was going to be close.
Okay.
But the whole point of this, the Texans score, which Mike Vrabel knows what was going to happen, right? Vrabel knows that they're going to either get 3 or 6. Little did they know they were only going to get 6 because Houston decides to go for 2 because somebody has told him that's the smart thing to do. Let's go up by 9, coach. Let's go up by 9. Guess what happens if you fail the attempt? Which they did. They only went up by 7 now. The Titans. Listen, in the NFL, under 2 minutes, you have a shot to score. You have a shot to score.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because everybody plays prevent.
Yeah.
You get inside the 20. Yeah, heck, till you get inside the 10.
Exactly. So the Titans drive the ball down. to about the 12-yard line. And as the clock's running, instead of spiking it to kill it, Tannehill, MVP candidate, decides to check it, and he throws a ball to the corner of the end zone to A.J. Brown for the score with like 3 seconds left. Titans are down by 1. What does Vrabel do?
He kicks it, dude.
He kicks it. He's not a moron.
He's at home. He's going to kick it.
Kicks it. Now, here comes the all-important coin flip. It's Deshaun Watson against Kevin Byard. Deshaun Watson, he selects tails. Now, you got to remember, the Titans just drove it down the Texans' behind and back all the way like 80 yards.
Oh, yeah. Their defense is probably worse than the Dallas defense.
I mean, they were gassed. J.J. Watt was he was like at the shallow end, treading water. He was gassed. The coin flip happens. It's heads. Titans receive. As soon as that happens, Deshaun Watson turns around and puts his head on his helmet, saying, "Oh my gosh, we just lost this game because our coach is an idiot," and he went for 2. You know, the conversion rate for a 2-point conversion in the NFL is less than 50%. It's like 47-48.
Okay. What is it if you got Deshaun Watson as your quarterback? Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
It's 0% because they failed it. So my point is this. Titans go down, and Anthony Fursker, the tight end, that nobody even knows, even plays on Titans.
The seldom used Anthony Fursker.
Yeah. This guy is just a machine in the last drive of for the touchdown. Now, here's the crazy thing. I don't know. Did you see the game-winning touchdown? Because in the overtime, as you know, if we kick a field goal,
they get another possession. They get a possession.
The Texans would gain possession. I think it's 4th down from the 5. From the 5. Wildcat, Derrick Henry. Can't tackle the guy. He scored. No problem. Game wins. Touchdown Titans. We're 5-0. Now, here comes the secret part, Adam. The NFL, the opening line for this game was 6.5. The Titans win by 6 because obviously they don't have a chance to kick the extra point.
It's over.
It's over. So if you took the Texans in 6.5, you're a winner. I took the Titans. I was a loser, but I'm a winner in life. 5-0. Vrabel, Coach of the Year. Henry,
Player of the Year.
MVPs.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my thing. So when it was 4th and goal?
Yes.
From the 5?
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. He's thinking the same thing. He's like, if I kick a field goal, they're just going to go down and score a touchdown.
Hi.
You know
what the greatest
why not? Why not?
Mike Vrabel, he's learned a lot from Belichick.
Obviously.
Matt Patricia has not learned anything.
Has learned nothing.
But here's who also has not learned anything. Jeremy Pruitt.
And what gets us to this next segment, which I honestly was like, there's no way we're going to be talking much about Kentucky, Tennessee on Monday night. Holy cow, man. Like, your quarterback, I would say he's Jekyll and Hyde, but he's always bad. So, like, he's Hyde all the time, you know? I mean, and even the guy you bring in, his first pass, you know, if you're bringing in a backup quarterback, what kind of pass play are you going to draw up for him first time? Swing pass, right? Little out. This guy, they draw a play up for him. They want him to throw a 15-yard out, and he's just come in the game. There's no way that's happening. Gets picked off. I mean, Kentucky's D was just, you know, they couldn't run the ball. You know, Kentucky was doing really pretty much whatever they wanted to in the second half. The first half, their offense really didn't do much, but it didn't have to because it had short field.
Okay. let me explain something, Adam, because you're coming from the winning side.
Talk to me.
This has not happened since '84 in Neyland Stadium. The Wildcats haven't beaten Kentucky like this since their very first meeting back in 1800 or whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
it has
it
been
was.
a long time since they've beaten the Vols by 27.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Garantano. Okay. Here's what dumbfounds me by this whole quarterback situation. Either Garantano is the best practice player in the history of college football to make him think and to fool his coaches that he is an NFL caliber Peyton Manning. Or two, there is such a huge difference between Garantano and the 2, 3, and 4 that it is not even funny. Now, here's where I get it. Here's where I get even more dumbfounded. You could take any SEC team and their freshman quarterback, and they can somehow find a way to win. I'm not sure that Tennessee could take a freshman quarterback, Harrison Bailey, put him in the system, and they could win 3 games this year. And I got to blame that on the coaching. I've got to blame that on somebody. If these other guys are not ready to play, then you should feel bad with what you got. I mean, because Garantano shouldn't. I mean, I'm not sure he'd be the best quarterback option at Vandy right now.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, so up until the Georgia game, you had won 8 straight games.
Yeah.
SEC games now. Okay. Now, you weren't playing, you didn't beat Alabama or Georgia. Okay. You were beating the Vandies and the Kentucky, Missouri, those people, South Carolina. South Carolina twice. Okay. But if your guys are not getting any better, that's coaching. That's totally coaching.
And you know who our quarterback coach is?
Randy Sanders.
No, because they would be a lot better if it was Randy Sanders. Former Florida State great Chris Winkie.
Oh my goodness.
Not good.
Dude, he'd probably be better. Throw him out there.
I knew Kentucky's defense was good because I saw him play Mississippi State, and I was like, man, those guys on defense, their secondary is legit.
Dude, they're ball hawks, man. I'm telling you. And their defensive coordinator is going to get a head job. He's going to be gone. Matt House is going to be gone because they've allowed basically in 2 weeks, they've allowed 7 points because the Mississippi State was a safety. So they basically pitched a shutout and allowed 1 touchdown.
All right.
In 2 weeks.
Let me chime in on this UT defensive coordinator fired. So I did see this today.
Co-defensive coordinator. The co-guy.
The co-defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
you know who the other defensive coordinator is, right?
I don't, but this guy just got there.
All right. So the other guy is Jeremy Pruitt.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. So you understand that Jeremy Pruitt is, right, D coordinator at Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's a defensive guy. So this guy, this coach, was also the D-line coach. This D-line for UT lost their best player in Emmett Gooden before the season ever started. Okay? Best player, hands down, on the D-line. You're talking about a co-defense. Listen, if you just wanted to take the defensive coordinator title out from his hands, great. I can understand it. But he's not the problem. He didn't throw 2 pick sixes in a row. He didn't bring the backup in and make him throw a 15-yard out that he can't make. He didn't have to bring in 4 quarterbacks to try to make something happen. Okay? This guy didn't do it. This guy has a problem with Pruitt. Pruitt has a problem with this guy, and that's why they parted ways, because they were all stepping on each other's toes.
Can you imagine what that meeting room was like on Sunday when they got together to look at tape? I mean,
I would be looking at Chris Winkie and say, dude, what is going on? Is this the best you got?
Yeah, like you'd have to ask him, what are you doing with those guys? And like they even said when they brought Harrison Bailey in, they're like, He came in and then he like disappeared. And then they were like, and then he was in this. They had a scrimmage on Sunday night, and he was the best one out there. What? Like,
Yeah.
how is that possible? How
So
how can you have no idea who this guy is, and then he's taking snaps in the fourth quarter of a game or in the second half of a game that you're trying to win?
I mean,
Now it's out of reach at that point, but you know,
but he didn't look great for playing a whole scrimmage on a Sunday. He should have been kind of, ball ready, right? I mean,
yeah,
he
you
was
got to be ready.
overthrowing passes. You know what? I think sometimes those guys try to do too much and just throw the underneath route. Just get yards, man.
Yeah, just keep the chains moving. I think a lot of times coaches try to outcoach themselves, and I feel like Pruitt is really he's going to get y'all going to get destroyed this week.
You think?
Destroyed. The line is only 21. I'm going with Bama and the over. Holy cow! Because they're going to be their D is just getting ramped up after shutting Georgia down in the second half. But y'all ain't gonna. Y'all might kick a 53-yard field goal, and that might be it.
I mean, how is Georgia quarterback? I think the Tennessee offensive line has got to be better than Georgia's on paper. Quarterback for Georgia, I couldn't even tell you the guy's name, but he's making plays.
Well, he
was a walk-on.
Yeah, he got exposed in the second half, and
granted it's Alabama, but
they're gonna struggle. They're gonna if they can't run the ball, which they couldn't really do against Alabama, at least in the second half. They're not gonna. I think Florida's gonna beat them. I think Kentucky can give them a game because if their defense doesn't play lights out, I think they're very beatable. Like you look at the Tennessee game, Auburn, they shut Auburn down, but I think we're finding out that Auburn's not what we thought they were. Okay. I think Florida's going to beat Georgia. I think Kentucky can beat Georgia if they play a full game. It seems to me like right now, the defenses in the SEC are so far behind the offenses, except for Kentucky's. Kentucky's defense seems to be playing like not taking plays off. You see people taking plays off every week. LSU is probably one of the worst. Ole Miss, terrible. Mississippi State, bad. Vanderbilt, horrible. There's nobody that's really dominant on defense except for, what Kentucky's done the last 2 weeks. And those guys and they're deep too. It's not just their first string guys. They're bringing guys off the bench that can play. Now they may have lost Quentin Bohannon. He left the Tennessee game, and then Tennessee started gouging them with some runs. But then they got stupid, started throwing the ball again. So I don't understand. I don't understand
here's the last thing I'm going to say on this, Adam, on this whole UT thing. And I think I've told you this before, is watch Garantano after he gets sacked or he scores a big play or they score a touchdown. One, he never celebrates to his teammates. Two, his teammates never help him up.
He's Bo Callahan. He's Bo Callahan.
They hate him.
Dude,
and they're
you know what I'm talking about?
Bo Callahan for Nebraska?
No. You ever seen Draft Day?
No, I have not. No.
Oh my gosh. Oh God, what is it with people not watching Draft Day? You got to watch Draft Day. Kevin Costner.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, you got to watch it. It's on probably Prime
sure.
You can watch it free. Sometime watch it. It's pretty good. Just remember that name, Bo Callahan. That's who Jared Garantano is. He's Bo Callahan. He probably is. Yes, teammates probably hate him.
Right. They may get him killed Saturday. And you know what? They are not going to help him up.
No. And that's interesting. That's interesting that you should mention that.
Speaking of.
Yeah.
Falcons.
Oh, let's go, baby.
Talking about resurrection.
Phoenix rising from the ashes. Listen, these guys, they're up 20-0 in the first half, and I'm thinking to myself, here we go again, right?
Yeah.
Here
Yeah.
we go again. Well, Dan Quinn's got to be sitting in his basement going, where was this? Where was this one? And you have to look and you think, well, they're making plays, and they never made plays when you were coaching them. And the offense never sustained drives really while you were coaching them. And the oh, Christian Kirk, 80-yard touchdown. Oh, Brees. I just took the lead, dude. This is dream week right here. This is dream weekend. Dude, I'm up by 8. And there's wow, that's big. That's big. Oh, woo. Christian Kirk, 80-yard score. Nice. He was a late addition to my starting lineup as well. But yeah, the Falcons refuse to lose, baby. Here's what's going to happen. I've predicted this already. So you had Raheem Morris put in there. You got 11 games to go. Falcons go 6-5 over their final 11 to finish 6-10. They pick middle of the pack in the first round. They get nobody. I mean, that is so Atlanta. So Atlanta. So I guess they just need to play teams that are like 1-4 or 1-5. Because the Vikings, your Vikings, just I don't know what their problem is. I think part of their problem last night was they didn't have Dalvin Cook. But the Falcons, man, Julio, Matt Ryan throws for 4 touchdowns. Julio catches 2. I mean, everything was working.
Yeah.
Everything was working. So we get into the Falcons NFL segment, and Brees has got a phone call. So Brees is taking his phone call outside of office hours. But getting back to the Falcons, you look at kind of what they were able to do, and they were able to not blow the lead. That's basically how I look at it, is they were able to not basically give it up. Now, no team ever in the history of the NFL has ever started 0-5 and made the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to win some games. They're going to win more than they lose. They still have to play the Saints twice, the Bucks twice. So you're looking at, 4 potential losses there. They do play the Lions next week, so they could actually win 2 in a row because the Lions, again, are not that good. But I think it's just interesting that, you sack the head coach and the very next week you play lights out, which is basically what they did, forcing turnovers, running the ball, throwing the ball, not making mistakes. It's amazing what a difference that a coaching change can make in some instances. And coaching, as I said before, in the NFL absolutely matters. Who you've got calling the shots absolutely matters. Who you've got determining your locker room attitude, the culture of your locker room. Dan Quinn had the whole brotherhood thing, and I'd just gotten sick to my stomach every time I heard that. And I think to some extent that may have been his downfall, because you had all of that sort of kumbaya stuff going on and not enough results. And that pretty much is what led to his downfall, led to him and the general manager getting fired. But they are not tanking. And there's a lot of people in the Atlanta area and talk radio. They're like, hey, maybe Matt Ryan's done. Maybe we need to move on from Matt Ryan. Well, Matt Ryan's saying, look, man, I can still play, and I'm going to show you that I can still play. So there you have it. And I think we may get Paul back here in just a second. I'm not sure. He's looking like he's.
Hey, how about this, Freeman?
What we got? Is that
I got a loss. I got a lost cell phone from one of my college kids. I got to track it down. I'm gonna hand the phone over to my wife. Let her figure it out.
All right, that's an excellent idea. They're good at figuring those things out.
Because I want to hear this.
So, yes. So one of Brees's kids lost their cell phone. That's not good. Never good. Never good. It's amazing that they've lost it. My kids don't let that thing out of their sight. They don't let it leave their side. It's stapled and glued to their hand. I can't see either one of my kids ever losing their phone. Mainly because we've told them if they ever lose their phone, that's their head. Losing the phone is like probably the worst thing that they could do from a financial standpoint. So they tend to keep pretty close. Tend to keep pretty close eye on. In fact, the other day I told Ella, I said, Ella, give me your phone. And of course she resists. I said, no, give me your phone for 5 minutes. I said, I'm just going to, and I set it right on top where she couldn't reach. I set it on top of the cabinet where she couldn't reach it. So we're sitting there eating dinner. She kept looking up at it. It was so sad. She made it to 5 minutes. I made her go an extra 2 minutes just to prove a point. And then pretended I strained a muscle in my back and I couldn't reach it. So
boom, let's hear it.
Let's go. What you got?
All right. Police.
Oh, okay. So
just another day in the life of a parent, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So our human interest story tonight is a real kicker. Okay, so I'm at school. This is on Friday, and I'm eating lunch, and I get a text, and it's from a random number, and I may still have it. I may still have it in my phone. I know I didn't get rid of it. So I'm gonna pull it up here. So I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there eating lunch, and it comes across, and I look at it, and it says, hey, this is Marcus, your neighbor across the street. Can you give me a call when you get a moment? So I was like, okay, that's odd. He works from home, so he's at home, and so I was like, okay, that's strange. And then I see, like, when you look at your screen, it'll tell you, it tells you like what the who's the number, and then it'll tell you a partial text. So right below that is an unknown number. I don't know what this number is. And it says, Adam, call me, reference your front door being open. So I assume that Marcus was also calling me about that. So instead of calling the other number, I call Marcus. And I'm like, hey, man, this is Adam. What's going on? And he goes, yeah. And he's kind of talking really low, like he's whispering stuff. He goes, yeah. I noticed earlier that there was a lady walking her dog, and she walked up to your front door, and your door was open, and she kind of looked in there, and then her and her dog like went back down into the yard, and your dog came out, and I was just kind of watching to see what was going on, and a couple minutes later, 2 police cars showed up. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, and so they went in your house and cleared your house, and they put your dog back inside, and about that time the UPS guy showed up. He had 2 packages, so they put the 2 packages inside your house. He goes, I don't think your wife was at home. And I said, yeah. I said she was going over to her parents today, so she wouldn't have been at home. So I was like, well, thanks for calling me. So then I go and I open up the other text that said, call me, reference your door being open. Corporal Bennett, Paulding County Sheriff's Office. So I called this guy, this sheriff's deputy, and he says, yeah, Mr. Freeman, yeah, we got a call about your house. One of your neighbors said your front door was wide open. And when we got there, your dog was in the front yard. And so we put your dog back inside and we cleared the house. He goes, all your TVs were still there. It didn't look like anything had been disturbed. Nobody was home. I said, yeah. I said, my wife was at her parents'. I said, what probably happened was, she took the dog out and probably just forgot to close the door totally, and the wind or something opened it up and the dog got out or whatever. And I said, so everything was okay? He goes, yeah, everything was okay except for that creepy doll on the counter. All right, so you got to understand, Ella takes cosmetology. So one of these things that she has one of those mannequins that you can like screw down to like a counter and like braid their hair and stuff. So this thing is like sitting, like when you walk in the door, it's the first thing you see. So I can only imagine these two sheriff's deputies going through clearing my house looking for an intruder, and one of the first things they see um, is this mannequin head sitting on the counter. He's like, yeah, everything was fine except for that mannequin. It kind of creeped me out. So I have a conversation. Everything's fine, but the police were called to my house I thought it was Friday. It was last Thursday. When I was at school and I had to have that conversation. I mean, initially I was scared because I didn't know what was going on. And then I called Leslie and she's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, yeah, the police were just at our house. She's like, what? I said, did you shut the door? And she's like, oh gosh. She goes, I think I may have, I took Rosie out in the front, which she normally doesn't do. And she walked out in the front, and I think she didn't close the door totally. And sometimes if you don't, that door will come open. And so Rosie was just having a little free time out there. And luckily my neighbor noticed it and called the police because she was afraid some shenanigans were going on in the Freeman house. But everything was good. So we had a police call to the house last week, but no harm, no foul. All the flat screens were intact. And it's one of those things where Leslie and I were kind of joking. We're like, nobody would break into our house anyway. I mean, there's nothing to steal in our house. So it was just one of those deals where it's not exactly a text you expect to get. Police asking you to give them a call in the middle of the day. So it was interesting. But as we have learned, our lives, as simple as they are, can be interesting from time to time. So that was it, Brees. That was my police encounter. Brees is still on mute.
All right, Freeman. We'll have to wrap this up, man.
Uh-oh.
We're trying to find my son's phone in the parking lot of some college, whatever.
Uh-oh.
So let's
good. All right, man.
Figure this out.
We'll get it rolling. All right,
man.
All right, guys. For Paul Brees in Brentwood, Tennessee, Adam Freeman here in Atlanta, Georgia, you've been listening to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul.